Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. All right. If you've watched NDE videos, a lot of them talk about a life review that occurs after you pass. And the reference is the Earth is it's a learning facility. It's like a university, a school. And you're here to learn lessons. And that souls come down, they have some specific lessons they want to learn while their time is down here, and things happen to help you learn those lessons. And then you get to have a life review where you get to review parts of your life and you're asked, well, why did you make this decision or that decision? Not judgmentally, just asking. Plus, you also get to feel your reactions and your decisions, how now they impact you, but you also get to feel it from the perspective of the person impacted. This could be great if it's a positive energy thing, and it could be miserable if it's a negative energy thing. Donald Trump obviously came down here to learn lessons and teach lessons. I'm curious, when Donald Trump passes and he has his life review, what are going to be the positive lessons he learned from his time down here? And what are the lessons that he failed miserably at? Now, when I say failed miserably, I'm not saying I'm rooting for that. Maybe he met all his lessons. But given his behaviors, you could say he taught us a lesson on, standing up for truth and honesty, and he failed. And, he missed out on a lesson. If he had an opportunity to show empathy and kindness, he probably missed that one out. So this will be for entertainment purposes only. But I want to throw a couple of spreads on. If Trump were to die tonight and he had his life review, what would his overall life look like? Positive. What's the one thing he did really well? What's the one thing he needed a lot of improvement on? Okay, so 3 spreads, 3 readings, entertainment purposes only. If he had a life review right now, how would that go for Donald Trump? He would have had a successful life review. So 6 of Wands is the foundation of the reading. He was successful in what he came down here to do. Crossed with the Temperance, it took him his entire lifetime to do it. The challenge was, incorporate maybe whatever lessons he came down here to learn. It took a long time to incorporate those in there. Underneath it all is the 9 of Coins. Interesting. This is about wealth and appreciation of wealth. I don't think he appreciates wealth so much, but I think he came down here to experience what it was like to have a really wealthy lifetime on Earth. Okay? To live a wealthy lifestyle. So, again, if his life review was to come down and live a life of wealth, he was successful in that. Now, he's inherited a lot of his wealth. Nowhere in that life review does it say he had to earn it. It just says he was to experience it, and he's always had money. Even when he's gone bankrupt, his business has gone bankrupt, money is always coming. He's always been around money. And his challenge is incorporation of things. This could also be that he could have been a great uniter of people. Or more to the point, how toxic was he? Can you have this wealth and not be toxic? In the past, the Star card. He came in, this was a star-studded life. He was born into a star-studded life. Now, first off, his father was a miserable wretch of a person. His mother, I don't think, was really emotionally available for Donald. But generally speaking, he was coming into a very privileged life, and he was going to be the star of the show. from him promoting his own star in the 80s to being on a TV show The Apprentice to becoming president of the United States. He came in as a larger-than-life star. That's what wealth and fame and fortune is basically what he was going to come here to experience. Current situation is the Knight of Cups. How he got there, the relationships that he forged to have this life. You can imagine that there are shortcuts that you can take to get to the end here. And they're going to talk about his relationships and how he reacted with his relationship. Sorry, I had to pause real quickly here. What relationships did he form? How did he, the alliances that he made? Was he, a person of high integrity in his relationships? Did he forge his victory through positivity or through taking shortcuts? Overarching energy is the Emperor. In this lifetime, he was going to be in charge of everything that involved wealth and fame. He had controlling interests in things. Again, that seems to ring true. Again, from the 80s, whether it's the head of the Trump organization to becoming the president of the United States, he wants to be large and in charge. Just like the Knight of Cups. The lesson to be learned are the relationships and his impact on relationships, whether they're business relationships, love interests, or world populations. It's the relationship. So there's a whole big relationship component to go with the money. The Lover's card is the opposite of the Devil card, which is a card of corruption. He was supposed to, I think, learn how to do this in a positive light. I don't think he succeeded in that regard, but that's for another reading. The outcome is the Judgment card. The outcome is, he was in charge. He got to forge the relationships. He got to choose the relationships and the people that he was in. He was going to be successful and a star. And I'm not saying he's going to be judged on this one, even though this is the Judgment card. But this is who answered his call, who listened to what he was saying and answered it. So, and the impact it's going to have on everyone. It could just be that his whole thing was to wake people up. Wake people up about us, being the same equal human beings in the eyes of God type of thing. But it was done under the lens of extreme wealth and fame. And can that be done in a toxic or non-toxic environment? So that's kind of at a high level what he was going to come away with here. Now, let's find out, if we're going to look at one thing that he did really, really well, one lesson that he really took away with and really learned something, what's that one going to be? I wasn't sure if I was going to do a 4-carder. Normally I would do a 4-carder on that, but I'm going to do another pair of 7-carders because I want to get the background, the challenges to the things. Like this one, it's going to say what he did really well and what challenges he had to overcome in order to, get his bonus points, as it were. Okay, so what thing did Donald Trump do really well in this lifetime? Pooh! The 4 of Wands. Opening day, the wedding card, bringing people together. Uniting people. Believe it or not, he is, despite the fact that he is the great divider, he's also the great uniter. Now, before those of you who are spitting out your coffee right now, he has pissed off Canada so much that Quebecers are actually considering themselves Canadians with regards to antipathy towards the United States. France and Germany are coming together and leading the EU. He has basically created a common enemy, which is actually uniting people, even though he's uniting people by dividing, by divisive behaviors. Yeah, he unites people by causing anxiety. The lies, the gish gallops, and everything, it's causing everybody a lot of anxiety, but through that anxiety, we're going to welcome in a new age. Underneath it all is the disappointment, the dissatisfaction with the emotional dissatisfaction. Again, he's a great divider. He's knocking down the norms, but the norms that are okay are still standing, but the ones that aren't functional are getting knocked over. We may mourn the loss, but we'll be better for it. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not anxious as hell as he succeeds, but he is succeeding in that regard. In the past, he could have done this using integrity, or he could have done this with a lack of integrity. I look at him as somebody who does not lack integrity, who lacks integrity. I do not see him as a person who embraces integrity. He only sees the things he wants to see, and he ignores the bad things. But that, I think, is also a problem with our society, is that we've gone to a society where there's less and less integrity involved in it. Or maybe we have false beliefs, almost like propaganda. And him coming in here and saying, he's going to drain the swamp and spreading propaganda is actually what's going to cut through the propaganda. Because at some point people can say, enough is enough. So what did he learn in this lifetime? Bringing people together at Queen of Swords in a divisive, very matter-of-fact way. But it's also kind of exposing our preconceived notions, our perceptions, we think we're smarter than we really are. We're really inexperienced. And he's much better at this. Oh, yeah, it's going to have to do with money. So basically showing the divide of the haves and the have-nots. And, again, he said he was going to go to the White House to expose the swamp, drain the swamp. But he drained the water so we could see the swamp creatures. And the swamp creatures is the worship of wealth in this country. Wealth and fame and things along those lines. So that's where he's been successful, is bringing people together. And it's probably through the lesson of wealth and the disparity of wealth. The lack of integrity that's involved with money. Yeah, huge money type things. The outcome is the big opportunity to change how the worship of money, how money is distributed, how money is spent, the value placed on money. If we don't learn this lesson through Trump, somebody else will come through and we'll get to repeat it again. So where he was successful, I think in some ways, is how many people in this country, if I had asked you 9-10 years ago, if we lived in an oligarchy, would have raised your hands. I wouldn't have thought so. It took me a year to a couple of years after, hearing the term oligarchy and knowing it was, to realize, no, we really are there in the U.S. And he's exposed that. The oligarchs aren't real happy about that. They were quite happy flying under the radar, doing the stuff that they're doing. But again, watching one political party drop the mask and sprint to the finish line like this was their greatest opportunity to cement the oligarchy into our country and our culture was alarming. So his success is uniting people and pointing out the worship of money that we've got going on here. And we do have a choice whether we want to continue worshiping that money or to do something different. Now, where did he fail? Where did he drop the boat? Drop the ball on this life? uniting people, dividing people. He was supposed to unite people and welcome in this new age. Where he failed is he's dividing people. It's funny. It's same card. Let's see what the cross is. Queen of Cups. It's using people's emotions to divide people. Or more to the point, he united people, all right, but he did it through emotional manipulation. He used low energy manipulation to divide people, and that's what ended up uniting people. So the Nine of Swords, I think, was in this position on the last reading, the anxiety. But this one, the anxiety was caused by the fear-based culture that he created, the pearl-clutching emotional fear that goes on there. Underneath all the Two of Wands, it's almost like this is the planning on it. Honestly, the problem is he really had an opportunity to unite the country in a positive manner, but he planned on he took a shortcut. He just took a shortcut, and he used fear instead of love to bring people together. Yeah. In the past, you got the Eight of Cups. The emotional abandonment that he suffered as a child led to emotional abandonment of people in his later life. He doesn't have typical emotional connections with other people. He's emotionally detached. He can manipulate other people's emotions, but that's because he can emotionally detach from things. Current situation is the King of Swords. This was the Queen of Swords in that other one. So he took what could have been a kinder energy and he made it very male-dominated and very, very harsh. We had the Emperor. He's going to be large and in charge. Now he's the King of Swords. This is Donald Trump's way. The division is going to force the decision. We could have gone down if he had been high energy, we could have gone down a gentler path. We're not going down a gentler path. We're going down the hard path. The overarching energy is Nine of Wands. Now, people, when you're living in fear, you don't know what to expect next. Even Trump, I don't think, knows what's going to happen next. This guy hit rock bottom and hit his head. And, do I keep following this guy? What is next? How much more of this united division can I take? How much more of the pearl clutching, emotional manipulation and fear can I take? The lesson we learn is the worship of money. He used his money and fame and fortune instead of uniting people is to divide people. He could have come in with a mandate. He chose a different path. And like I said, he chose a different path. The outcome is the Hermit. Right now, the path that we're taking is the U.S. being an isolationist country. But by doing that and exposing the money and the oligarchs, it gives us a path forward. But I do think that what this is telling me is that he took shortcuts. Instead of using his wealth and power to make everybody, to equalize things, he chose isolationism. And he's isolating folks. As he could have led the way forward, and he chose not to. He chose to take an isolationist view as opposed to a path forward. How funny, though. Same card. He is a great divider. He has learned the lessons well to divide and conquer. But I think, again, even though he divides and conquers, kind of the aftermath is people coalescing to unite against him. And the thing is that he's causing the rest of the world to unite against the United States. He could have led the United States to unite, and then the rest of the world would follow. Now, instead, the rest of the world's uniting, and it's going to be the U.S. that's going to have to follow. Do you see what I mean? That his greatest success is he united the rest of the world. His greatest failure was he could have united the United States. He could have united the world by uniting the United States, but instead he divided the United States. But the rest of the world's still united despite that. Lastly, a four-carder lesson to be learned from, I guess, the biggest takeaway lesson from Trump's lifetime this time. What will be his biggest lesson takeaway? Four-carder. I got the Hierophant. Large, let's see, large programs, the Ace of Swords, Knight of Pentacles, the Death card, Ace of Pentacles. The big organizations driven by money, motivated by money. The biggest lesson, this is a huge opportunity. I guess the biggest lesson is looking at the financial backing that runs the governments or runs the big organizations. They should be, instead of being mercenary, they should be helping people. There's almost like the government should have a more idealized path forward. They should have an idea, a crusade, an idea that they want to drive forward and champion. Instead, we're seeing how money drives the government instead of government driving the money. And again, his lesson is he's going to help be the demise of the big money in big organizations, corporations, governments. So it's the takedown of the financial normality that we've evolved with over the time, and maybe bringing that to an end and bringing in a dawn of a day where money is not the most worshipped thing. Ideals and causes become more important. That's going to be the big lesson that he's going to take away from this lifetime. Okay, so it's funny. He's helping us move forward by forcing this country to move backward, but causing the rest of the world to go forward. In other words, how do I want to put this? It's kind of hard to put into words, but the rest of the world always looks to the U.S. to lead. And by the U.S. being regressive and not leading, it's forcing other leaders to lead. So it's going to take the importance off of the United States and put the importance on a more world community, so that it's not just the U.S. telling everybody how everything is going to be to the benefit of the United States. You're going to have other countries be in charge that are going to do things that are better for the world, and the U.S. is going to follow the rest of the world as opposed to the rest of the world following the U.S. That's kind of what I see his lessons and the fallout from his lessons on this world. But the old powers are not going to let go easily. That's why it's such a struggle, a fight, I was about to say, fight, struggle, fuggle, and why it's so painful to endure. Back to your daily drama. Thank you very much for watching this video and supporting my channel. I appreciate it. This reading is for entertainment purposes only, but I hope you find it insightful, and I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.